What is going on YouTube? It is your boy Young Mustard back at you guys once again, and I am here to talk about something that has been talked about pretty much since Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, and that is why the Warriors may be the greatest team in NBA history. Now I know some people are going to hit that dislike button before I even talk about it, so guys, calm down, listen to what I have to say first. Now, I am not saying that, I like it. I'm not saying that I love the Warriors or anything, but I guarantee you guys, 10 to 20 years down in the future, we will appreciate the greatness that we are seeing from the Golden State Warriors. Now, let's look at, the competition that the Warriors are going to have to face here. So we all know in the East there's really no competition besides the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Cavaliers pretty much are going to go into next season making no type of moves, okay? Because I don't think Carmelo's going to be going to Cleveland. It looks like he's going to be going to Houston, or he might even just stay in New York. Who really knows? And then when we look at the West, yes, the West has severely improved. OKC got Paul George for pretty much all they had to do was give up Oladipo, and they played the same position, so they got to upgrade in the shooting guard position in a top 10 to top 15 player in some people's eyes in Paul George. Minnesota finally got some veterans on their team, Jeff Teague and Jimmy Butler, and with a great coach in Tom Thibodeau, that team should be a top 4 team in the West next year. Then you also look at the low tier teams. The Pelicans re-signed Jrue Holiday, and they have not had a full season to have this front court with a point guard like Jrue Holiday. Then you look at the Trailblazers. The Trailblazers got Nurkic last year before the trading deadline, and now they got a full season with Nurkic, and they drafted Zach Collins, another big man. And I'm praying to God that Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum can finally try to play some type of good defense or solid defense next year. Then you look at the Spurs. The Spurs added Rudy Gay, and we all know, yes, Rudy Gay does sometimes make teams worse. But this is Greg Popovich. This is the smartest and the greatest coach in NBA history. If he can't utilize someone like Rudy Gay, nobody can, okay? I mean, it's pretty obvious. And then when you look at the Rockets, let's not forget what they did. Though they did lose some key pieces, which I'll get to in a minute with the Clippers, but they got the most pure point guard in the NBA, and they have a coach who works extremely well with point guards. I mean, CP3 and Steve Nash, one could make the argument that CP3 is better than Steve Nash. So for Mike D'Antoni to have CP3 of all point guards, this should be hella fun. Now, it's also going to be difficult because they do rely on the pick and roll in Mike D'Antoni's system, so I don't really know how that's going to work. But if they do get Melo, that'll only make things even more interesting. Then you look at the Clippers, who one could make the valid argument they can make the playoffs. Having Blake Griffin there and DeAndre Jordan there gives you a very strong front court. They also have Patrick Beverley, Sam Dekker, Lou Williams off the bench. I mean, they got some nice pieces from the Houston Rockets in that trade that no one's really talking about. They can make an 8th seed. Now, the problem obviously there is, Doc Rivers ain't the greatest coach in the world. I think he's a hella overrated coach, but whatever. But you guys see, the West is so stacked here, and the Warriors, let's be honest, do you think the Warriors are going to face any animosity in the playoffs? I don't think so. I don't think so. The longest series they'll have is 5 games. At tops, maybe 6 with the Spurs, maybe 6. That's it. That's it. And we also have to look at the fact that the Warriors got better in the offseason, okay? They got better. They got Nick Young. They got Omri Caspi, 2 players who can hit threes for days, and when they're on fire, they're just about as good as anyone from 3. So, guys, we need to really recognize that this team may be the greatest team in NBA history. Let's just look at them. You have the greatest shooter in NBA history and a top 3 point guard of all time in Steph Curry. You also have one of the greatest shooters ever in Klay Thompson, who was on pace to drop 100 points in one game in less than 50 minutes. In less than 40 minutes. It's crazy. It is crazy. He dropped 69 points on what, like 10 dribbles or something? Then you also have Andre Iguodala on the bench, a former All-Star, an elite perimeter defender, a guy who won the Finals MVP just because of the fact that he held LeBron James to under 40% shooting in the Finals in 2015. And then you also have Draymond Green, who's an elite elite defender. I don't understand why people keep saying he's a system player. Yeah, he does benefit playing with Steph and Clay. I understand that. But if you take Draymond off of that team, you know, last year in the finals, let's say we remove Draymond from the equation, that looks hella more even, because now you only have 3 guys who can guard LeBron James, and now you only got 3 all-stars on that team. Then we haven't even addressed the elephant in the room for the Golden State Warriors, Kevin Durant. You know, going into this final series, everybody was always saying, you know, Steph could choke, KD could choke, you know, all this and that. This team, they blew a 3-1 lead last year. Well, guys, the factors of last year in the finals must be taken into consideration going into this finals. People don't understand that Cleveland had some of the worst supporting cast that we've seen in NBA history. Kyle Korver wasn't hitting his threes. J.R. Smith leading up to that point wasn't really playing that well to begin with. Iman Shumpert is a freaking punk. And Deron Williams, I mean, he just pretty much went ghost when it came to the finals. And also, you have to also look at the factors for the Warriors last year in the finals. Draymond was suspended, and probably if he wasn't suspended, the Cavs would not be champions last year. Then you also have to look at the fact that Steph Curry was injured. Could that be due to the fact that Steve Kerr didn't want to rest him and they were chasing a record? Yeah, probably. Because when you look at players like Kyrie and LeBron, they don't record chase, man. They could easily win 60 games every year in that weak, pathetic Eastern Conference. But they coast, and there's a reason for that. Then you also have to look at the fact Harrison Barnes was god awful. He was pathetic. He was airballing, okay? Harrison Barnes was the Deron Williams of the 2016 NBA Finals. Yes, he was that bad. Now, obviously he scored like, what, 4 to 5 points in total? Or at least he scored more than that. And Deron Williams hit his first shot in what, game 4? I mean, Jesus Christ, yeah, Deron Williams was another level of garbage. But you guys get the point here. I mean, there are so many factors, and I didn't even mention that Andrew Bogut was injured. And when he got injured, remember LeBron dropped 41 and Kyrie dropped 41? You think that was just because of the fact that they're great scorers? Yes, they are great scorers. But if you have a rim protector like Andrew Bogut, that doesn't happen. This team is virtually unbeatable. I mean, even in Michael Jordan's era, there were times where people would think, hey, maybe the Jazz could upset him with Malone and Stockton when Malone won the MVP and all this and that. And Malone missed free throws in the finals that, you know, maybe could have gave it 7 games in the series. Who knows? And he got the ball stripped. Let's never forget that. There were times where in Bill Russell's dominance, Wilt Chamberlain would grab a championship once or twice. You know, there were other players and other teams that brought competition. But this Warriors team, it looks like there is no legit competitor for them. I don't see them having a 6-game series next year in the playoffs, okay? Because the Cavs aren't adding nobody, and we know they're coming out the weak-ass East. And then when you look at the West, I mean, all these teams, yes, they are adding pieces, but what's the second best team in the Western Conference? Maybe the Rockets, maybe the Spurs. But guess what? They still are no match for the Warriors. And to all the Spurs fans who are going to comment, but the Spurs were up last year had it not been for Zaza. Guys, are you serious? Are you serious? Are you really serious? Because I thought the Warriors were coming back even when Kawhi was playing. Yeah, you heard me. I thought they were coming back when Kawhi was playing. I really did think that. Take it from someone who's a Bulls fan, who's been on the opposite end of so many Miami Heat comebacks in the playoffs with LeBron James. So really, that really meant nothing to me. This team, this Warriors team, is maybe the greatest team that the NBA has ever seen. This is a dynasty that we should come to appreciate now, because they're going to dominate and dominate and dominate. And people who want to complain about their dominance, did y'all complain when Bill Russell was dominating a whole damn freaking generation and won 11 championships? Did y'all complain when the Lakers and the Celtics were the only 2 teams that were even relevant enough to be considered championship contenders and they dominated? Were y'all mad when Michael damn Jordan, the greatest player in NBA history, dominated a whole decade and left legends ringless such as Karl Malone, John Stockton, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Shawn Kemp, and Gary Payton? those two are probably Hall of Famers rather than legends, but you guys get the point. So I don't want to hear nothing about the Warriors are ruining the NBA, their dominance is just too much for the NBA. Guys, this team is probably the greatest team that the NBA has ever seen, and we need to come to appreciate their greatness. So this is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Y'all don't forget to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and add me on Snapchat. Peace.
If one more label try to stop me